I would love to share what we currently got, and at this stage, we welcome the criticize or the questions. And I don't know whether you expect me to explain much about the Dongjiang projects, especially for the project of Hong Kong, but I try my best because I don't know whether it fits your expectation, but I just would like to share what my current research is. And so I plan to talk a few slides about the Ocean Project since Dr. Su has already covered a lot and in a much fancier way. So I'm going to skip the first 3 slides and I will just jump to what I'm going to focus on today. And so so I'm going to skip these few slides which talk about Dongsheng project. And then, so today I'm going to talk about the sustainability of Dongjiang River. Well, this is a pretty big title, so I'm going to focus on the urban water systems of the 9 cities along in Equatorial Delta, especially 4 cities along Dongjiang River. So before that, based on my pretty intensive readings, and I summarized the framework like this. And so if we talk about urbanization, so usually the urbanization will means that, not technically, usually means the increase in population density and building density. And so if we talk about urbanization and during the pro-growth economic activities, and so the urbanization, it will cause some so-called urban disease. And the water-related urban disease, we call it, there may be 3 major aspects. One is water shortage problem, and one is water ecological problems, and which is also called water pollution and city flooding and logging issues. So the water shortage problems, it's usually caused by increase in water demand, which is pretty easy to understand. And water ecological problems, what we also say the water pollution, it's caused by a lot of reasons, which include the waste discharge increase or the increase of the recycled water or city reused water, and also sometimes worsening of the stormwater quality or the too frequent intake and retaining project, which may bring negative impact on underground water supply situation or the runoff volume. So, and also, if we talk about the flooding and the logging problems, it's usually caused by the increase of building densities, in which either make the increase in impermeable areas or they cause the big change of drainage system. So yes, today, when we talk about the sustainable developments, I'm going to focus on these 3 problems. And so the study is divided into 2 separate ones. One is dealing with the flooding and the logging problems caused by the building density change, and one deal with the water shortage and the water pollution issues together. So I'm going to show you the first one about the flooding and the logging problem, which may caused by the land use change. I mean land use change, I mean in cities the construction land use change, and which caused by the economic restructuring in the next 15 years. So that's because we just say that economic restructuring play a major role in the construction land use change. So we are trying to see that relations, and then we try to predict what will be the urban flooding and logging issues. We mean the Pearl River Delta is such a large region, but because of the limitation of the data, and so we just try to focus on the 9 cities in these areas, and fortunately, the Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Dongguan, Huizhou, which along the Dongjiang River are also included. So we're going to take a look at the 9 cities better and specifically focus on these 4 cities to know more about the Dongjiang River. So this economic structural trend show that after the 1980s, the economic structuring just shift to secondary industry dominated one. And until now, just like Dr. Su said, until now, for these deltas, so the economic structure is still manufacturing dominated, although we are trying to shift towards the tertiary industrial dominated one. So but based on the Guangdong province industrial land use guidance, and I just divided these industries into these manufacturing industries into these three categories. One is high-tech industries, which is more knowledge intensive, and one is advanced manufacturing industries, which is more capital intensive, and traditional industries with advantage, which means those light industries with more, which are more labor intensive. So we can generally see that during these 30 years, although they all belong to manufacturing industries, but we can see that advanced manufacturing industries and high-tech industries into more and more dominating roles in the economic structure. Then as for the land use patterns, so I mean urban construction land use patterns, also according to the industrial land use guidance, we just summarize them into these 11 categories. And so we can see that during these recent years, the construction land, urban land, just has been increasing a lot. And also we can see that the rural residential settlement and independent mining site, and also transportation and water management, they occupies the majority of the areas in the Pearl River Delta. And so for this, we are not only concerned about the areas for each type of the urban land use, and we also take pretty care about the diversity of the construction land use in each city. So in order to evaluate the diversity of the land use, and we use such a value, which means we call it a construction land use entropy, which will measure the diversity of the land use, which means that the more land use type is, the entropy value will be higher. The higher the entropy value is, and the smaller the area of each type of land use area is, then the entropy will be higher. So the higher the value of entropy means that we have more diverse land use in the construction land use pattern. So we have such a logic. Okay, we have such a logic with the basic data for the land use and the industrial structures, and we can do some regressions to understand what will be the impact from the industrial output value on the construction land areas, and what will be the impact of the industrial structures on the construction land use entropy. And as long as we understand the relationship, and as long as we have the projected industrial structure of the value, then we can predict that in the less than 15 years until 2020, what will the construction land use area and their land use patterns can be predicted, and we can just predict that what will be the land use situation and the water ecological problems at that time. So we tried a lot of regressions, and so we just finally we found the best one who can explain their relationship. So it means that for the land use area, the construction land use areas, the high-tech industries and the high-tech industries will be a pretty land saving industries. On the contrary, the traditional industry with advantage and the service industries, they will be pretty land consuming. As long as the for this one, advanced manufacturing, it quite depends. It depends on what the subsectors will be, which stage of the industrial value chain you are situating. And for the land use diversity, we just say that the high-tech industries and the advanced manufacturing industries will make the urban land use diversity decrease. Either because some land area will just make like the mining site removed, or it's because the high-tech industry it may cause the labor force demand decrease, which will cause a lot of supporting facilities, the areas for the supporting facility decrease. So that explains why they have the negative side. And also, we can see that the traditional industrial with advantage and the service industries, if for the cities, the infrastructure is that oriented, then the urban land use diversity will increase. So so if we know the relationship like this, then we can just predict our land use in the futures. So we got the projected infrastructure output value in the cities for the 9 cities in the River Delta. And we can see that cities like Guangzhou or Shenzhen, they are pretty high-tech and advanced manufacturing oriented. So although we say that they are still for the whole city, they are still pretty for the whole for River Delta, they are pretty manufacturing oriented. But if we can just take a deeper look at them, then they can see that the Guangzhou and Shenzhen, they are pretty high-tech oriented. So which means that they may have got more land saving patterns. So based on our models, then we can see that for Guangzhou and Shenzhen and Zhuhai, in the next 16 years, we have the potential to have more compact land use and have more available land. But for cities of Jiangmen and Zhongshan, the western part of the deltas, the land use problems will be tighter. So the areas will still have much expansions in the construction land use. And also, so this is for the land use area in 2020. And if we take a look at the structure, economic structuring, then we can see that for some cities, the structure becomes more and more high-tech or advanced manufacturing oriented. But for this one, when we use this to predict the urban land use diversities, then the things becomes more complex because it doesn't only affect the negative or positive the relationship is, and it also affected by the value of the parameter. So finally, we just say that for some cities like Guangzhou or Zhongshan, Zhuhai, Zhaoqing, they are going to have pretty stable land use diversity, but it doesn't mean that the land use pattern will not change. It does mean that either it will not change or some functions just take place of some others. For example, in a lot of cities in the River Delta, we have a lot of urban urbanization projects, such as Sanju Gaizao, the old factories or the old settlement or the old city centers urbanization. So it means that we use one type of the urban land use to replace some others. So it means that inside the city we have some internal structure change, but we just see that the total land use values will keep the same. So we just combine these two results, the urban diversity and the urban land areas change together. Then we just can summarize the So it means that we can see that in Zhongshan or Jiangmen, which is more at the west side of Pearl River Delta, we still expecting some massive expansion of the land use. And for the city like Moshan, Zhaoqing, and the Dongguan and Huizhou, we care pretty much about Dongguan and Huizhou because it's along the Dongjiang River. So we are expecting some slow expansion because it's going to enter the mature and post-industrialization time. So and for Guangzhou and Shenzhen, Zhuhai, the same they are enter the same time for the industrialization and urbanization. And based on our analysis, they are at stage of pretty comprehensive improvement. This means that it will not have too much urban expansion and based on the industrial structures, and it may have more land saving situation, and we can do some better improvement within the cities. For example, we can use the lands to do more cultural oriented or the ecological oriented change. But we just say that this is just only based on the economic structuring situation, and there are a lot of other factors may change the urban land use. For example, like the government behavior or the rent-seeking behavior. So it may change, but we just say only based on our economic structuring, which will play a pretty major role for land use change, then the situation is like this. So we just say from this part, we can say that for Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Dongguan and Huizhou, which along the Dongjiang rivers. So the urban land use situation in 2020s will not be that bad, and so it will not cause too much problems for the urban logging and flooding problems. But again, I just emphasize it's still only based on the economic restructuring situation. There may be some other urban management and land management issues. Okay. Also caused a different result. So this is the better situation is. And also, what we talk about the water shortage pollution issues is, so just now we just predict the future land use and predict the flooding and logging problems. Now we take a look at the water and the shortage and the water pollution problems. So here, we just use these concept figures to try to simulate the water circulation, the water circulation of the water urban water systems from the natural water system to taking to allocation and reuse to wastewater and to the water retaining for this recycle. This circulation. So we have some point to control our efficiency and effectiveness of the water use in this water system. So, and also for each point, we just put the sustainability evaluation index there in order to evaluate the sustainable development situation. So, and also based on my reading, I just summarize those benchmarks for each index, the benchmark for whether they are sustainable or they are unsustainable or they are okay but pretty fragile. So this is summarized by a pretty intensive reading, and we have a benchmark framework like this. And I need to say that maybe some index was not so good. For example, this one, the wastewater treatment rate. So it means that we have the capacity to treat this wastewater, but it doesn't mean that we have actually done that and in a pretty good standard. So based on those index systems, and we just look for the data. But our data come from the published secondary data, and so I don't know what you got data, but my data just from the secondary one. So for these 5 index, we just see that the the numbers marked in red colors means that they are not sustainable, and the in blue color means that okay, they are not so unsustainable, but they are pretty fragile. So we can see that in for the water resource exploration and utilization rate, and the Guangzhou, Shenzhen, and Dongguan, they exploit too much water in stronger than the system can sustain. And for the allocated water linkage rate, they are pretty fragile, means that the pipelines network has some problems. We may need some redevelopment in the future, the near future. And so for the overconsumption or not, and we see that Dongguan is a city with a pretty overconsumption of water used by each person. And so this one, I need to emphasize this one. This one just to say that currently you have capacity to do that technically, but it doesn't mean that currently our wastewater treatment is a very good thing. So this one we have some bias here. And so for the amount of the returned waters, it means that whether the water discharge give much burdens for the systems. So we can say that Shenzhen and Dongguan, they are over the benchmark, so they are not sustainable at all. So so this is just some qualitative data show. So we just if we just estimate what current actions has been taken or what we can do, so we just say that the good news is that currently for the water shortage problems, the good news is that they are drawing the waters from Xinjiang River for Dongguan and Shenzhen, and also they are drawing water from Olivia Jiang to Guangzhou. But just like what the former speaker said, that the even longer term at the national level or even macro scale regional level, whether it's still sustainable, it still need to evaluate it. But I just mean that in the predictable long term, then the water supply problems will be okay right now. But we just say that as now we say the pipeline network rebuilding problems and the water overuse problems. And these two problems, it still goes on the water pricing problem, which is the most critical issues talking about the whole water industries. And so, like the wastewater discharge, this one, we just say that although we know that we have much burdens on the water discharge on the whole systems, but actually in China today, especially in Guangzhou today, we don't have much mature markets to deal with the water discharge problems at all. So we can take a look at the water prices in the cities in the period and compare Dongguan with the other water price. Then we can see that this is data from 2012, and so we can see that in Dongguan the water price is much lower than most of the areas in this Corona Delta. So that may explain why in Dongguan the over consumption of the waters is so severe. And so as long as we talk about the water pricing issues, based on my I conducted a lot of interviews with the water supplied enterprises or factory owners, and then they especially for those who don't have much government subsidies, the government financial subsidies, and they need to take care of their financial situation on their own. So they just say that for the water pricings, then they have to think about the project development cost and the original cost, water resource fee, and tax, and they want to have 5% of the port base, and they think that water pricing should go with inflation. But in actually, the situation is not as what they expect. Here, for example, if we talk about the project development cost, like the water linkage problems, the pipe network rebuilt or the renovations, then it will be very costly. So this one, if it goes to the water pricing, the water price goes very high, and it will not be accepted by the state administration of community price or the National Development and Reform Commission or the People's Congress. And so for those enterprises who need to take care of their financial situation on their own without too much government, it's the last slide. So for those enterprises which have to be financially self-sustained, they quickly care about their labor force. So they would love to cut the labor force size, but they want to pay more salaries to the left ones, which is more which have better human resource quality. But if they increase that, their cost will increase. But when the Congress or this commission and this administration to charge check their cost, they will use the average salaries of these regions to calculate the cost. So it means that there's no incentive for them to cut off the labor force size at all. And the water resource fees will go with the inflation fee, so means that if there is inflation, it will go up. And tax fee cannot be avoided. And so if we don't talk about the profit, and we talk about the inflation of the whole commodity price, but unfortunately the cost of the water price cannot go with the inflation. So finally, we just feel like the water pricing is the most critical issues for the water industries. But again, just like you suggested, the user pay or the polluter pays, but because we need to consider much about the public goods attributes of water. So this pricing is still under much debate right now.